That's my child! My property!
George Miller's Mad Max films have seen numerous iconic villains over the years, from Toe Cutter to Lord Humongous to Auntie Entity. The series of Australian post-apocalyptic epics have delivered us some of the most far-out characters ever put to film. However, there is one villain that has menaced the wasteland more than all the others. Carrying on the tradition of flamboyant and over-the-top villains, Immortan Joe has a real sense of terror and world-building that are directly linked to his physical body. Everything about Joe oozes power and might. In many ways, he is the engine that drives the whole movie forward. Sure, everyone talks about the practical stunts, prolonged chases, and intense action as to what makes Fury Road so spectacular, but it's really Immortan Joe that catalyzes all of those aspects of the film.
You will ride eternally, shiny and chrome.
If you're someone who wants to charge into the afterlife all shiny and chrome, then you should definitely subscribe to Nerdstalgic for more videos just like this one. Miller wanted to make an entire movie that was one chase sequence, and to fuel that chase, you need a villain with keen motivation. Instead of writing a script, Miller worked laboriously with beloved British comic book artist Brendan McCarthy, storyboarding every shot in the movie, building out the world as they went. This method of working had a tangible effect on the central villain of the piece. Played by Keays-Byrne, the same actor who played Toe Cutter in the original Mad Max, the character has a physical prowess and menace to him that villains rarely do. Usually the villains of the Mad Max world have small-scale success. They're motorbike gang leaders, or, at best, they rule over small encampments of people. But a story that was this fast-moving and this high-octane needed a villain to match it. Immortan Joe, or as we learn through the Mad Max Fury Road comics, Colonel Joe Moore, is a man who has taken over a fortified aquifer and developed a cult around himself. His war boys worship him as the Emperor of the Wastes, an anointed holy man who has the keys to Valhalla. Joe, as a means to manipulate and control the masses, has developed a religion based around V8 engines. He's declared himself a dictatorial god king. You can betray a man, no problem. A god? That takes some serious gall. When we are introduced to Joe, we see him as an elderly, decrepit man. He has failing lungs, lesions, and is obviously not long for this world. However, as his assistants and war boys affix armor, sculpted to look powerful and impressive, we see him visually evolve from the dying Joe Moore to Immortan Joe, God King.
It is by my hand you will rise from the ashes of this world!
It would be tempting to say that Joe's success as a villain lies in his physical might, but it's really in his mind. And it's here that we witness just how smart he truly is. He's a manipulator. He's an underhanded beast of the apocalypse who has risen to power through pure will and tenacity. His impending death has caused him to be obsessed with producing an heir to carry on his reign of despotic control. As such, he's taken 5 wives, with which he hopes to sire a child. The main plot of Fury Road revolves around Furiosa and Max on the run from Joe and his men, as they attempt to get the wives to the mythical Green Place, with the added complication that one of Joe's wives, played by Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, is currently pregnant.
Where is she taking them?
She didn't take them, they begged her to go!
While the majority of the film revolves around Joe and his war boys chasing the wives through the wasteland, it's the wrinkles and quirks of Joe's character that give him and the world its texture. It's his ego that fuels the chase. It's his desire that sends the hundreds of soldiers after Max and Furiosa. And it's Joe's eccentricities that make it all so memorable. Joe is someone who understands the importance of spectacle. He understands why it's important to show people how strong you are, even when you're obviously dying. Thus, a 100-car road trip into hell sporting a flamethrower guitar player and circus performers on pikes.
You look amazing! You look amazing!
You'd expect him to be a purely evil monster, and he is, but he's also tender and genuinely hurt that the wives want to escape him. Does he view them as property? Yes. However, when Angharad dies, he wrecks his car in a gut instinct move to attempt to avoid hitting her. He clutches her body as a memento of the life they could have had. She was his favorite, and her death is a loss of the unborn child she was carrying.
What about the child?
It's
gone awful quiet in there.
Get it out! Get it out!
In some ways, Joe is a stand-in for the old world. He's a symbol of the evils of religion and consumer culture that have been decimated in this new world. But he, as a god king, is a conduit back to them. Keays-Byrne's performance as Immortan Joe is simultaneously tender and operatic. The charisma and commanding presence behind the mask is what truly makes the film work. We know that his boisterous nature comes from physical weakness, which makes him all the more compelling. When asked about how he saw Joe, Hugh Keays-Byrne said, "As the Immortan,
I am seeing myself as somebody who is here to raise us all up, to make things better.
To give these kids more of a life by giving them blood from other people that I've caught, and a breeding program that's actually going to improve us."
And that's what dictators do, isn't it?
In the opening of the film, we find Max devouring a lizard. This is the new status quo of the world. Juxtapose that against Joe, who has been hardened by the wastes, but refuses to give in to it. It's taken everything from his body and driven him to be a cruel and heartless leader. The only thing he's consumed with now isn't the day-to-day struggle of existing within a post-apocalyptic world. It's a legacy. He wants someone to carry on his name. It's a pursuit consumed purely by ego. That's what makes Immortan Joe so terrifying. He's not living in the same world as the rest of us. He's not struggling with the same needs we all are. He has all the water he can drink. He lives in a world fueled by weaponized privilege, a cosmos of pure emotion that can swing like a pendulum.
Do not become addicted to water. It will take hold of you. You will resent its absence.
Immortan Joe is the perfect antithesis to Max. Max is a simple man with simple needs. He's just trying to live past the imminent catastrophe that he's navigating. Joe is a man who's had grand ambitions, succeeded, and is now attempting to build a life after his own imminent demise. He's not living and fighting for the now. He's fighting for the future, one he literally won't even see. And when people get wrapped up in their own legacy, that's when empathy for your fellow human beings becomes obscured. When you start looking at people as resources, when you start thinking exclusively of the importance of your own ambition. From the way that Miller and McCarthy visually build Joe up over the course of the film, to the underlying deconstructions of patriarchal power, Immortan Joe is a perfect example of how creating a compelling villain can elevate an entire story. Now that Furiosa is finally in production, will we eventually see Mad Max 5? Let us know down in the comments below, and as always, please be sure to like and subscribe for more videos just like this one.